All right, I'm back for Dust 2S's ongoing coverage of Fragadelphia X Level Up Expo Vegas. I'm with Snappi following a dominant Grand Finals performance by Nip. So to start, pretty much light work for Nip in the final versus Sharks. Did you feel challenged at all during that match, or was it pretty much walk in the park for Nip?
I think the final was comfortable. The semi, not so much. I think we played not the best CS to be fair, but it was enough. But could have gone in RG's way also. So yeah, I think the final was comfortable though.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Where the finals was almost overshadowed completely by the semifinals versus NRG. Were you impressed by their level? I know it's been a hot minute before you've had a chance to play Nitro and OC and some of those guys from back in the Liquid days.
Yeah, I think they obviously played good, but I also think that we were definitely not on our A game. We had a talk afterwards, that we need to sharpen up before the final because I think we kind of threw away those two by kind of unawareness and being a bit lazy with what we were doing, like not listening to each other. So yeah, we had a good talk after the semi going into the final.
What do you think contributed to being sort of off your A game during that semifinals? You mentioned there was a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes. Is it due to the fact, due to unfamiliar environment, the tech delays, anything that you can point to as maybe leading to suboptimal performance against NRG?
I don't know, maybe actually inexperience as a team, maybe nerves even, I don't know, something like that could be.
Mentioning this being a new team, you joined NIP at the start of the year, coming over from Falcons, and with this is actually your first LAN win since IEM Dallas 2023 with ENCE. Even though this is, of course, a far smaller LAN than what you're used to competing to in your long, illustrious career, does it feel good to finally get that LAN win under your, with this new, with this new, NIP team, considering it's been a hard struggle to find your way in the rankings?
I mean, I think I will be honest. It's not like I'm happy because it's a step of the journey. Kinda, we need to build NIP back to be a high enough rank so we get into the tournaments. Luckily, we qualified for Astana, which I think was a, no offense, bigger win than this because that grants us a tier 1 tournament where if we perform, we can actually establish ourselves. But this was a nice step on the way because obviously our goal is to be top 30, top 20, top 10 and grind our way in. And I think this was a nice first step. So obviously it's always nice to have success, and we could have gone out in the semi, so I need to be happy.
Does it feel good to make up for as well? We saw NIP recently at Level Up Lund out in Sweden, where the team ended up, I believe, finishing 3rd, 4th, losing to TNL, the Ukrainian squad. So does it feel good to kind of make up for falling short there in Sweden?
Yeah, because we needed these points. So we went to these 2 lands to kind of boost our ranking before going into Astana, so we could have a good, how do you say it? We want a good rank going into the summer break, and we fucked up the first one, but this one was fine. So yeah, it was a good step.
With that as well, have you been surprised by how hard it has been to find your way in the scene? Obviously, this NIP roster formed with no ranking points. You had to use Jax for sometimes there to even get some close qualifier invites, but it was a lot of open qualifiers for a while there. Were you surprised by how hard this process has been to get back in the scene with the new core under the VRS?
No, it was expected. I also said in the NIP interview in January that the goal is to build the team into a top 30 team before the summer so that we have a better starting point from the summer going forward. And I think now we're getting close. I think maybe just enter top 40. If we do good at Astana, we can enter top 30. So it's like a slow climb where you need to take every step, because until you're in the tournament, you can't really climb, right? So yeah, I think kind of expected. We also fucked up because if you saw teams like Paravision, it was actually possible to switch a course, so the whole Jax experiment was actually a big mistake, because we could have played CCT with our full team had we kind of abused another loophole that was way, way better, and then we could have potentially been in the MRQ. So yeah, we didn't do it the correct way, but this system, it's kind of it's about gaming the system also, and we were bad at it compared to other teams.
Now, you mentioned, the goal, of course, to come here. You're not coming here just to, win a $10,000 local LAN. You're coming here to get VRS points. And like you said, you did breach the top 40 with this win. You started the event in 89th place before, playing your first match at FRAG, and now you're 39th. Does that feel correct to you? Do you think the system's working as it should?
I mean, it seems maybe a little bit too much. However, there also is kind of one thing speaking in favor of it, I guess. And that is the fact that we can see that the tier 2, tier 3 scene is a little bit challenged with the potential, cheating and stuff like this. So I also think it's a good thing that LAN ranks much higher, and it should also open up the space for a lot of tournaments to open up. I mean, you can see a lot of the local LAN scene is coming back, and I actually think that's a good thing for CS. So it's probably like double-edged sword. There's positives and negatives, but I actually think there's a lot of positives for seeing all these tier 2 LANs coming up.
Like you mentioned there, a lot more regions are considering holding local LANs again. I believe this week in Denmark we have Gamebox. Is this something you would consider doing again in the future, coming to a local LAN if you need a quick, boost in points, whether it's in America or just popping over to quick open sign up European LAN?
Of course, I think it's something every team should think about doing, especially if the LAN is close to you. Obviously, we are lucky that we have an organization behind us so we can travel to this LAN. Not everyone will have that opportunity, and that's us being lucky there. But most teams should be able to travel within their region if they have a smaller org, I would say.
And not to we had to mention the elephant in the room. Unfortunately, this LAN did have a lot of problems from the internet to the power to long tech delays. As someone who's seen the very top of the mountain, who has gone to IM events where you have a runner getting you drinks and snacks, and everything is perfect, everything's so rehearsed, you have hundreds of employees. Were there ever moments of frustration for you guys having to, long tech delays and having to do all these things that you haven't probably done since, 1.6 going to Copenhagen games and such?
I mean, there was a lot of frustrations. However, I think the Fragadelphia guys did a great job jumping through hoops kind of to try to fix everything. I think a lot of it was out of their control due to them not controlling the venue. So a lot of the issues, I think, wasn't really their fault. And I just appreciate that they tried everything in their power to make it good. The tech delays and all of this, obviously it could be better, but then again, they kept trying their best, and I think that's the most important.
And finally, we don't have an official MVP for this event, but Wrinkle would be naturally the best choice, second highest rated player over 9 maps, I believe, ending with like a 1.3 rating, somewhere around there. Fantastic showing from him, but a fantastic showing from a lot of your young guys on this squad. Who has impressed you the most on this NIP roster, considering you've never really played with the Portuguese guys, Wrinkle, the Ukrainian, etc., etc.?
No, I don't like to answer a question like that, because I think all of them are equally important, so I don't want to stand and single out one player.
What a nice captain! What a nice captain! All of his children are his favorite. Thank you so much for your time, Marco, and we'll let you get back to the European grind. We'll see you next in Astana. Thank you.